cases that have emerged in recent days, especially in Saptari and Birganj, among other districts, have suggested that community spread of coronavirus has begun in the country. The timing could not be more unfortunate, as the government only this week decided to lift the nationwide lockdown. Now, at this juncture, it is of utmost importance that we all adopt maximum precautions, especially when out. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama, and these are the headlines of the hour. Nepal confirms 2 deaths due to COVID-19. Death toll climbs to 42. Symptoms of COVID-19 seen in 29 individuals in Birganj before even being tested. The government's decision to redirect the unused budget of the highly criticized Constituency Development Fund to the Corona Relief Fund Limited to announcement. World Health Organization welcomes trial vaccines to counter COVID-19. However, warns a vaccine this year is highly unlikely. And Liverpool lift the English Premier League trophy for the first time in 30 years, defeat Chelsea 5-3. The death toll due to COVID-19 in the country has climbed to 42, as 2 more deaths were confirmed yesterday. Meanwhile, the number of coronavirus cases has reached 18,094, as 100 new cases were reported yesterday. The Health Ministry informed that a 60-year-old man from Bahottari succumbed to the virus while undergoing treatment at BP Koirala Institute of Health Sciences in Dharan. The man from Bahottari was admitted at the isolation center of this hospital on 16th of July and breathed his last on Tuesday evening. Likewise, a Chinese woman living in Pokhara died of coronavirus yesterday while undergoing treatment at the Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital in Maharajganj. This is the first death of a foreigner due to COVID-19 in Nepal. According to the Health Ministry, the 49-year-old Chinese national was airlifted to the capital last Friday after she complained of chest pain and breathing difficulty. Meanwhile, among the 100 cases reported yesterday, Kathmandu reported 3, Saptari 18, Dailek 16 and Doti 7. Likewise, 6 cases each were reported from Parsa and Kalikot, taking the total number of infections in the country to 18,094. With this, Rautahat, Kailali and Bajura now have more than 500 coronavirus cases. The Health Ministry claims that the infections rate stood at 8 to 10%, which has gone down to 2 to 3% in recent time. Meanwhile, 207 COVID-19 patients were discharged from various hospitals in the country in the past 24 hours. The Health Ministry has, however, urged the public to remain alert and adopt maximum precautions while going out. Stating that the government lifted the lockdown to ease the public life, the ministry reiterated that Nepal is still at high risk of COVID-19 spread. Moving on, local administration has sealed Rastriya municipality, the headquarters of Saptari district, following a recent spike in coronavirus infections. The decision is in effect from today onwards. Prior to this, the Rastriya municipality had imposed an indefinite lockdown since yesterday. The decision to seal the municipality was taken by the District Disaster Management Committee after the recent recorded community spread of COVID-19. 9 people, including 5 family members of the person who died due to COVID-19 on 16th of July, 2 of their workers and a neighbor tested positive for coronavirus, proving a community-level spread of the virus in the region. Likewise, 13 other individuals, including private college operator Gajendra Narayan Singh, 2 health workers and 2 cleaning staff also tested positive in the Rastriya municipality area, taking the total number of coronavirus cases in the region to 48. Saptari has recorded 404 cases with 286 recoveries so far. In Birganj, 29 people, including 18 who took tests through the PCR method themselves, tested positive for COVID-19. The 18 individuals had reached Narayani Hospital after experiencing symptoms of coronavirus. 25 COVID-19 patients, including 2 each from Rautahat and Bara, are receiving treatment at the Narayani Hospital at the moment. 2 of them are in the intensive care unit. All these cases have proven that the community spread of COVID-19 has begun in various places across the country. Now, private schools have decided to resume online classes that had been halted for a few days, as the schools had demanded the government to allow them to collect fees from students. Private and boarding schools organization PAPSUN and NPAPSUN, among others, issued a joint statement yesterday saying the alternative classes will resume today onwards. The statement comes following the government's decision to allow institutions to take admissions and run exams from 17th of August after 4 months since the nationwide lockdown had halted academic activities. PAPSUN and NPAPSUN had halted online classes from 16th of July, demanding the government to allow academic institutions to conduct exams, take new admissions and distribute books, among others. Schools had adopted the online teaching method since the lockdown began back in April. However, in mid-July, many institutions sent their teachers on unpaid leave, citing they were unable to pay the teachers' salaries. Now, the government has decided to redirect the unused budget of the highly criticized Constituency Development Fund to the Corona Relief Fund. However, the decision has yet to be implemented. It was expected that more than 5 billion rupees out of the 9.9 billion rupees would be transferred to the Corona Relief Fund. However, only a handful of constituencies have abided by the directive. Furthermore, lawmakers have been found forging projects during the last month of the fiscal year in several districts to spend the budget allocated under the Constituency Development Fund. The government decided to transfer the unused budget of the fund to aid its fight against COVID-19 spread following pressure from various sectors. However, lawmakers from both the ruling and the opposition parties, who had earlier been lobbying to scrap the Constituency Development Fund, have implemented the government decision. According to a report prepared by the Financial Comptroller General Office, the fund had almost 5 billion rupees left, as only 600 million had been spent for its purpose. However, ever since the government directed to transfer the fund, lawmakers have been found disbursing hefty amounts to various forged projects. The Federal Affairs Ministry and the Finance Ministry have yet to collect data on the actual amount disbursed. Preliminary reports suggest more than 5 billion rupees has already been spent since the government decision. The Constituency Development Fund early on met with criticism and has been called by many a superfluous program, citing that huge amounts from the state coffers had been diverted to unproductive sectors. The NEPSE index that had reached 1,479 points on Sunday after an increase of 84 points decreased by 17.5 points yesterday. The market thereby closed at 1,431 points. The negative trading in the stock market and the decrease in the issuance of IPOs by hydropower projects have demotivated new investors in the stock market. More than 273,000 new investors had entered the share market in the fiscal year 2018 and 19, which went down by 33% in the last fiscal to 181,000. Experts say new investors are attracted to the stock market when the value for stocks surge. However, the stock market in the country has unfortunately been spiraling since 4 years. The stock benchmark NEPSE index, which registered 1,881 points 4 years ago, shrank to 1,100 points in mid-March this year. According to CDS and Clearing Limited, which records on demat accounts, a total of 474,000 new investors were associated with the stock market 4 years back, which went down by 61% last fiscal. As of late, more than 1.69 million investors are associated with the share market in the country, 61% of whom are male and 39% female. Institutional investors comprise of less than 1% of the total investors. Likewise, most of the investors are from Kathmandu Valley at 481,000, which is 28% of the total investors in the country. Dolakha district follows with 69,700 investors. Mugu, Dolpa and Manang are among the districts with the least number of investors, signifying that people from rural districts have less attraction towards the stock market. Meanwhile, share analysts say the mandatory provision on hydropower projects to allocate shares to the locals has to some extent helped increase investors from rural areas. 16 hydropower projects issued a total of 75.6 million IPOs in the fiscal year 2018 and 19, while only 4 companies issued 120 million IPOs the last fiscal. There are currently more than 1.6 million investors across the country at the moment. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the residents of Kavre district what are their plans now that the government has lifted the nationwide lockdown. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
सावधानी एउटा चाहिँ अपनाएर सोशल डिस्टेन्स अपनाएर अब भोको पेटलाई चाहिँ भरेर सुरक्षित हुनको निमित्त जीविकोपार्जन गर्नको निमित्त अगाडि बढ्नुको चाहिँ विकल्प छैन।
कार्यालयहरू सबै सुरु हुँदै होला, अब रोकेर बसेका कामहरू चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ।
गृहिणी हो, खासै काम पर्दैन बाहिर जाने, कहिलेकाहीँ निस्कनु पर्यो भने यसै गरी मास्क लगाएर निस्कनु।
सरकारले दिएको निर्णयहरूमा चाहिँ त्यो पालना गर्ने, मास्कहरूको प्रयोग गर्ने, सेनिटाइजरहरूको प्रयोग गर्ने, साबुन पानीले हात धोइरहने।
घरबाट त्यति हामी बाहिर पनि निस्किँदैन, यस्तो काम परेर आज माइत आइदिया हो, भोलि गएपछि काठमाडौँमा हो आफ्नो पसल छ सानसिन्ता त्यो पसल गर्ने हो।
विद्यार्थी भर्नाको प्रक्रियालाई अगाडि बढाउँछौँ र विद्यार्थी कक्षामा पठन पाठन सुरु गर्नुभन्दा पूर्व गर्नुपर्ने तयारी विद्यालयमा हामी त्यो गर्छौँ।
पहिलाको भन्दा नि झन् पसलै चल्न छोडिसक्यो, हामीलाई त गाह्रो छ लकडाउन खुल्दा पनि झन्। सेनिटाइजर लगाउने, मास्कहरू लगाउने, आफू सुरक्षित भएर धेरै भिडभाडमा नजाने।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, why has the government not implemented the decision to transfer the excess amount of the Constituency Development Fund to the Corona Relief Fund? Your options are A, not a compulsion, B, lawmakers' ill intention, and C, budget already allocated. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a great day ahead.